He knows us. He remembers that we are dust, but yet he is unrelenting in getting the best out of us. He requires the best out of us, and because of that, he corrects and disciplines us. Let's not overlook that, because I think sometimes we've gotten into this like mediocre Christianity of, oh, you know, God knows my heart. Yes, he does, by what you do. As a man thinketh in his heart. You know that science has actually made the connection between the brain and the heart now? And it says they have scientifically figured out that the heart actually thinks, that it functions like the mind, and the connection between the heart and the mind is, God wrote about it, 50 million years ago, and they're just now finding out. But as a woman thinketh in her heart, so is she. So when you say, God knows my heart, yes, your heart is showing by what you do. There's no separation. There's no compartmentalization of, my intention is this, but I'm going to do this. Somewhere along the way, when you did whatever you did, you made up your mind in your heart that you were going to do it. And so the actions just reflected what was in your heart. So let's stop playing games with God. He's not stupid. God is not sitting up there with you acting out, and then you say, God, you know my heart. He goes, yeah. He's not naive. He's not stupid. He says, yes, I know. That's exactly what was in your heart. You did it. And now I'm going to correct you. Now I'm going to discipline you. I'm going to give you a word that's going to reprove you. Amen. Proverbs 3:12 says, for the Lord corrects those he loves. Say, it hurts so good. Just as a father corrects a child in whom he delights, joyful is the person who finds wisdom and the one who gains understanding. You should not be upset when God corrects you. I used to get so upset. When I first came to the Lord, someone sent me a tract anonymously in the mail, girl. Now, I hate that. It's like, why can't you just be bold enough to tell me to my face? But they sent me this tract, and the tract said, others may, you cannot. And it went on to say that God had set me apart for his own purposes and sanctified me for his design for my life. And that other people were going to get away with a lot of stuff that I would never get away with. And that has been so true. And I've actually stomped my foot sometimes and said, God, now, see, everybody gets to do that except me. And he reminded me of when I was a little girl. My mother had a rule that I had to be in the house by 6 o'clock. We lived in this neighborhood that I didn't know was the ghetto at the time, but it really was the ghetto. When you're a child, you're just not aware of these things. You're just happy wherever you are. And so I lived in the ghetto, but I didn't know it. Maybe they did, But the rule was I had to be in the house at 6 o'clock. Well, all my friends got to play outside in the dark after 6 o'clock. And they'd make blue fires, and they'd be out there prancing around, running up and down the street. And I would be inside looking out the window, crying. I don't know why I can't go out to play. Ironically, I grew up, and all of those children that played in the dark stayed in the dark. They ended up on drugs, wayward lives. Last time I went home, one of them was walking down the street, plucking imaginary things out of her hair, talking to herself. I looked at my mom and I said, Mom, thank you for calling me in from the dark and into the light. He corrects those he loves. Proverbs 3:11 says, don't reject the Lord's discipline and don't be upset when he corrects you. For the Lord corrects those he loves. Hebrews says, have you forgotten the encouraging words God spoke to you as his children? Hebrews 12:5-11. He said, my child, don't make light of the Lord's discipline and don't give up when he corrects you. For the Lord disciplines those he loves and he punishes each one he accepts as his child. As you endure this divine discipline, remember that God is treating you as his own children. Who ever heard of a child who's never disciplined by its father? If God doesn't discipline you as he does all of his children, it means that you are illegitimate and you are not really his children at all. Since we respected our earthly fathers who disciplined us, shouldn't we even submit more to the discipline of the Father of our spirit and live forever? For our earthly fathers disciplined us for a few years doing the best they knew how, but God's discipline is always good for us so that we might share in his holiness. Now, no discipline is enjoyable while it's happening. True that. It's painful, isn't it? But afterward, there will be a peaceful harvest of right living for those who are trained in this way.